Here's Brody Brazil.
Within the last week, we have learned that reportedly and apparently the A's are going to remain eligible to continue receiving money as part of baseball's revenue sharing for 2024 and beyond. I say apparently because how we found out about this, when we found out about this, and where we found out about this is all anonymous. And reporting by the Las Vegas Review-Journal does not name any sources. They're the only ones putting this out there. But according to them, the question we've had now for recent weeks and months has been answered. And it was really hard to understand if you dive into the 2022 Major League Baseball players' collective bargaining agreement. The league has this with the Players Association. It spells it out here as part of, paragraph 12, section 12, whatever this is. It's like a 200-page document. But it says very specifically, also very vaguely, this. If by January 15th, 2024, like right around the corner, the Athletics have not entered into a binding agreement in Oakland or another city to construct a new Major League Baseball facility to host Athletics championship season games, the Athletics shall fully be disqualified from receiving revenue sharing beginning with the 2024 revenue sharing year. Okay, that seems simple and straightforward, but what defines a binding agreement? Because that's not really established what that means. And there are some agreements for the A's in Las Vegas still to make that aren't set in stone right now, but with things like the land deal, which they apparently have with Bally's and GLPI for the Tropicana site, would that qualify as a binding agreement? There's also public funding. SB 1 got passed back in June of last year. That's not really anything binding. If the A's move forward with this, they can qualify for it, but if they don't do anything, there's nothing binding about it. And how about the owner's vote? Back in November of 2023, it basically gives approval, but it doesn't really put the A's in any type of binding situation. And also, like baseball approving it, I don't know if that would go as a binding agreement with anything else. So again, what's the binding agreement here? Turns out from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, it is in fact that land deal. Here's what the article says. The Oakland Athletics are not in danger of being removed from MLB's revenue sharing system. It's quite the lead. The A's binding agreement with Tropicana owner Bally's Corporation to construct a new ballpark on the Strip met a mandate to keep the team in the league's revenue sharing program set by the latest MLB collective bargaining agreement. People with knowledge of the situation confirmed to the Review-Journal. Let's go over the highlighted parts here. I've obviously highlighted them for a reason. So, binding agreement. I suppose the land deal is binding, that the two sides, the A's and the landowner and the casino operator, Bally's and GLPI, that they will make this happen. Although the A's already had a prior binding agreement with the Wild Wild West casino site owners. That obviously fell apart within a matter of weeks, but this one has obviously lasted a lot longer. It also has some more questions to it. Moving forward, the future of Bally's Corporation, their casino in Chicago, which is not going exactly to plan. A separate video on that for another time. But that qualifies apparently as the binding agreement. The mandate is another part of this, and I suppose that January 15th date could have been changed or altered or moved. I mean, between the Players Association and Major League Baseball, they do get to literally make their own rules, but we're right around the corner from this, and nobody really had any understanding of it until just a handful of days ago. So within 2 weeks of the mandate, nobody in fact even knew the precise answer to this. And so we get our answer from, quote, people with knowledge of the situation who confirmed it. And I understand reporting and I understand anonymous sources. Usually you're trying to protect somebody for their safety or their integrity or a very good specific reason. But why does this have to be anonymous? I mean, first off, why wouldn't baseball just come out and say, oh, we'll confirm that. Yes, the A's are eligible because they have a land deal, and that to us is a binding deal. Simple as that. But baseball didn't do it. I mean, the A's, if it came from them. They didn't officially do it. They could have done that on their own. It's interesting that the Las Vegas Review-Journal has this, and also that everybody just assumes that people, is it one person? Is it multiple people? How many sources are there here? It's never really great to operate on just one source who's anonymous, but everybody's going to trust this. And why shouldn't we? I'll assume that this is correct. But it's interesting that it is held so anonymously when it's not really a situation where we need to protect the source. If that's how it is, then quite simply, that's how it is. But there you go. That's the Las Vegas Review-Journal. So why is this important to the A's? Well, they get to stay on this revenue sharing trajectory. And what happened here is that the A's kind of got put back on revenue sharing starting with the 2022 CBA. Right after the work stoppage, the lockout, there was a brand new CBA. And as part of it, in 22, the A's would only get 25% of that share. It went up to 50% in 2023, which tabulated to be $27+ million. It was only 9.2 in 2022. And you're wondering, well, wait, this math doesn't add up here. 25 and 50, that's not 9 and 27. It's based on a league average of revenues in the prior 3 years. That's how they come up with the revenue sharing amount that a team like the A's would receive. So safe to say that 75%, that number is going to go well north of $27 million, probably in the 40-something range. And then eventually in 2025, when it's 100%, maybe it's $50 million a year. Throughout this entire A's stadium saga and search, they maintained that staying on baseball's revenue sharing was going to be a critical component for them to fund a payroll. Obviously, you can see here what the benefits of that exactly are. Also consider that once they're on revenue sharing for 24 and 25, it's likely that they would stay on it for the foreseeable future, especially if they were to enter in a small market like Las Vegas. That's something that baseball might continue to provide for them. Essentially, they do not want this to go away because once it does, it might be really hard to ever or inevitably get back. So again, the A's reportedly are staying on revenue sharing. I don't think that comes as a tremendous surprise, but it was something that none of us officially or unofficially knew for the longest time. And how we found out was quite interesting. You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help out greatly. And also don't forget, subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.